Good afternoon, friends. This is Dennis Miracle, and I am going to be showing you today. I'm starting late afternoon, which is very rare. I'm usually at 2 in the morning, but I'm going to be showing you the 3 slices purse. And you will see in just a little bit why it's called 3 slices. But I wanted to, and I have a new device that is holding the camera, and I don't think it's doing such a hot job. And in fact, I've already ordered another more expensive device, so hopefully soon I will have something that will hold the camera well, so I don't have to. But anyhow, you see that I have run the first step of the purse, and it did the general outline of the purse, and it did the area for the zipper. So right now I'm going to take and put my zipper on here, and one thing I always do, open it up and back and open it and shut it to make sure that it's working, because I've done it a time or two where I've finished the purse and the darn zipper's not even working. Anyhow, so what I'm going to do is, this is a 1-inch number 3 zipper. I have put the side of the zipper against the edge of the bag, and if you do that and it's 1 inch and your zipper is in fact 1 inch, like it probably should be, most number 3 zippers are 1 inch, but occasionally on Amazon you'll get something that's of weird size. But anyhow, assuming you've got a 1-inch zipper, take and put that up against the edge of the zipper, against the edge of the outline of the bag, and let's tape it down. I'm going to tape it down here at the bottom. I'm going to tape it right here at the side, in the middle, and another one here at the top. And I'm going to take it, and the next step, number 2, will be just a tack down of the zipper. And so I'll be right back. Alrighty, I am back, and you see that maybe you can see that the tack down has been accomplished. I'm using, this is some orange thread, but I'm going to change thread in a moment to a yellow color, which will go better with my fabric. But I'm going to take now and turn the hoop over, and you can see, I hope, I don't know, well, there are 3 lines here. One is the top exterior line, then the second line down, and then the third line down. I'm going to take a piece of lining fabric, and now this is a 6x10 bag I'm doing, and I've cut all of my fabric 7x11. So let me grab this right here. Okay, I'm going to take one of my pieces of lining, and I'm going to place it, make sure it's even on both sides, but I'm going to place it about 1/4 inch below this last line here, the third line down from what is at the top of the bag, which is this way. So I'm going to place it right below, 1/4 inch below this third line, and it's okay on both sides, it looks like. So there, that looks fine. Okay, now I'm going to take it and just let it roll over to the front like that, and take it and tape it down, just because it needs to stay out of the way for probably 5 or 6 or 8, I don't know how many, I can't remember, steps in the process. So just make sure this stays up here. Now I'm going to take what will be my main fabric, which I don't do novelty fabric much, is probably, those who've been following me know, but this is a kind of a neat fabric with, it's from Benartex. It's called something, I don't know what it's called, but as you can see, it's the old rolls of film that we used to use back when we, I guess, I don't know if anybody still used them, but years ago. So I'm going to take it and put it face down, and I'm going to just put it face down right against the edge of the zipper right here, because it will be stitching on that third line. But now that we can see the zipper and where things are stitching from the front side, it makes it so much easier. So let me tape that down, and I'm going to go back to the sewing or the embroidery machine, and the next step, number 3, we'll tack this down going right through here where my finger's at. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and this has been sewn. As you can see, the red, still got the red thread in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and put one of my pieces of batting. Like I say, everything's cut 7 by 11, but I've actually cut a little bit off this to put it underneath here, about 1/4 of an inch below the stitch line. This is 11 inches wide still, but it's about 6 inches this direction. So take that and stick that. I hope I'm getting this halfway in here. I'm trying my best, folks. And then take your main fabric and pull it down and smooth it down well, and take it to your iron and just give it a good quick crease right here at the zipper. It'll lay down and look so much nicer. So let me go and do that. Okay, I have taken and pressed that down, and it's got a nice crease here. And then I'm going to run back over to the embroidery machine, and the next step, I think it's 4, it's going to run a line of stitches right below the crease here, right down both sides along the bottom, and so all 4 sides here, just to hold things down before we get started with the satin stitching and such, and the quilting, which has a lot of stitches in it. So I like to hold this fabric down real well before I start those that part of this project. So let me run and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back from the embroidery machine, and it did as I said. It put a line of stitches all the way around the entire exterior underneath the zipper, and I had it do 2 other lines of stitches so I wouldn't have to run back over. And that was a line of stitches right here, which you can see I've changed now to yellow thread, and then a line of stitches going this way, and this is the first slice. So this is just telling you where to put the fabric. And I had cut, I'm going to use black, and I had taken and cut these 7 by 11, as I said. However, it won't take half. I fold it in half, and that will be sufficient for it to cover the this area right here. I just took and folded in half because I found that a lot of the solid color fabrics are very thin, and I don't want to see this yellow through this black. So with it folded over, you won't see this. So this was 7 by 11 originally, and now it's 7 by 5.5. So anyhow, here's the line going this direction, and then the yellow stitching line here at the top. So we have to make sure that we have covered all of that and have space left over, at least a ½ inch over at the bottom outside the seam line, and at the side outside the seam line. So we'll take and we'll place this about right here, and that covers the top here, the yellow line. It covers the sides well, and it covers the bottom. So let me put a little piece of tape there just to hold it while I go across to the other room, and I'll be right back after I tack this down. All right, you can see now where the line of stitches has been put in place, and what I'm going to do now is go to my kitchen counter and sit, and I'm going to cut it from about, well, obviously from the edge of the fabric, cut it straight down on this side of the stitches all the way down, and diagonally just right off here, just like that. And so I'll be back in just a moment, but like I say, make sure you're getting rid of this side of the stitches. So I'll be right back. All right, folks, you can see that I've cut it, and now it's just angled off right here, just in the same way at the top. So we're eventually going to cut this off at the top, but we're not going to worry with that right now. I'm going to put it back on the machine, and it's going to do the satin stitch along the same line of row of stitches right here. So I'll be right back in just a moment. Alrighty, I'm back, and you can see the satin stitching has been done. It's not perfect. I should have cut a little closer, and you'd think I'd learn, but I never do. But I'm going to work on this after I get it finished and try to get a little more of this off down here. Anyhow, the next thing, then I let it go ahead and do the placement stitch for the next slice. So I call that slice 1, and center slice 2 and slice 3 over here. And I'm going to take my same, or not the same, but another piece of fabric that I've cut the same way, cut it and fold it in 2, and I'm going to place it over, you see the line right here. And so I'm going to place it where it's covering the top, the bottom, and plenty on the sides to be in the seam to get caught. So it looks fine right now, and I'm going to go and run the next stitch line that will tack this down, and then actually I'll go and do the cutting of it. Well, I'll come back and show you that before I do it, so I'll be back in a moment. Alrighty, so I did cut this, and I did trim it, and hopefully, let me see, I think I had it this way. I did trim it, and I'm hoping that I don't know, that may not be close enough, but I cut it here a little too far and got the stitch itself, so I'm hoping it'll look out okay, but if not, I'll deal with it later. So let me run and do the satin stitching, and I'll be right back. Okay, now you can see where the other satin stitching has been done right along here, and then the next step is earlier I ran this step a little earlier, kind of a placement, just to show you how far you needed to have this piece of fabric. This yellow line I ran as a placement stitch, showing you had to at least have it covering right here, but this is even better. So what I'm going to do is the next step is going to now tack this down right across. It's going to follow this same yellow line again, but tack this down, and then I'm going to go back to the table, and after it tacks it down, I'm going to cut this remaining part off up here. I'm going to be cutting this part. I'll be cutting this off right through here on both sides. So let me do that, and I'll be back momentarily. I'm back just briefly. I wanted to show you what it did. It stitched this line right across, right across here, and it ends right here. It really doesn't much affect it over here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over on this side, and I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut everything on the zipper side right along through here. Cut that off, and then just cut this off over here just straight out like this. So I'll be back in a minute. And well, no, I'll go ahead and go to the machine, because then it's going to run the satin stitch all along through there. So after the satin stitch has been run, I'll be back. Okay, I'm finally back, and I have run the satin stitch along the top here, and of course ended over here. And the next step it will do is it will do quilting on it'll quilt, I believe, over here first. I didn't look at the machine before I walked over here, unfortunately, but it'll either be here or here. It'll do beautiful quilting, and they're in each a separate step, in case for some reason maybe you wouldn't want to run quilting over here, but you would over here. But anyhow, there's no quilting on the center area, only the side areas. So let me go and run those that quilting, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, you see now the quilting that has been done on both sides. And then finally we're going to take the lining fabric and take the tape off and let it fall over to the back side. And take this tape off of here on the sides too. All right, fold it down, smooth it out as nice as you can, and take some tape, and let's tape these. Well, I'm taping the side here, and I'll show you where it is on this side right here. And I did that on the opposite side. So now let's take it back to the machine, and the next step we'll run, it'll repeat this one step that went around under the zipper and did all 4 sides. So that's what will happen now. So hold on, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, now what you can see that that has been accomplished. The back is now secured. So what we're going to do is turn it back over to the front. We're going to remove this tape here on the side, put it away in the trash, and open the zipper about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way. And we're going to take our little connecting pieces for the crossbody straps, and so I usually put it about 1 inch in from the side seam. So we'll start on this side, and I'm going to line it up right here with this satin stitch here. And by the way, when you in the pattern that will be out, this will not it will not do any stitching over this satin stitch like this. I've corrected that. So anyhow, line this up about 1 inch inside from the left-hand side, and tape this down, and tape it down also down here in the metal piece, and get the other one and put it in about 1 inch from the side. All right, and tape down the metal piece. Alrighty. Now the zipper's open, so definitely make sure that's open. Now you're going to take your main fabric for the back and put it face down. Make sure it covers at the bottom on both sides and is at least 1/4 inch over the zipper here, which it is about 1/4 inch. And then take your piece of lining, last piece of batting, and place it over the same area. And smooth it out, and take it to your machine and run. This will be the second I think it's number 17. So step 17, run that, and I'll meet you back in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and you can see that the front here on the front, the back side and the piece of batting have been all sewn down. And now we're going to turn over for the last step, step 18, to the back of the hoop, and take our last piece of fabric, which is a piece of the lining fabric, and just cover what was already there, but make sure you get, again, as I said, about 1/4 inch over the zipper. So let's take in 4 different places. Well, there it moves. Take it and tape it down on the 4 corners, and we'll get this wrapped up. All right, now I'm going to take this back over to the machine and do this last step, and I'll be back in a moment. All right, I'm back, and the last step has been performed, and what that did was put on the back, this back lining here, and left a place to put your hand through and to turn the bag. We have to turn it 2 times, but the first time is through here. So what we need to do now is take it out of the hoop itself. and I put it on this side. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start here. I'm going to cut from this point right here where the stitching stops and this opening starts. I'm going to go in like this at an angle, and then I'm going to cut right up through here about 1/4 of an inch away from the seam line, on this side of the seam line, and along the top the same way, around the side, and then when I get here to where the stitches end, I'm going to cut it again just at an angle like this. And so I'll do that and meet you back here in a moment. All right, you can see that I have in fact cut as I said I would, and I did the little angled lines here at where the pieces are left to that will be tucking in. And also something I didn't show you or tell you, but I have in every other video, is these 2 pieces here you need, but everything, there were a bunch of pieces here that were not necessary, so I cut them off as you see. So you just got to make sure you got these 2 pieces, which are going to be tucked in and sewn in momentarily. So I got rid of the back, all the rest of those pieces back there. And now we're going to take, and finally I have something holding my camera I can show you. I'm going to turn the purse out through here. Take and remove the tape now. Let me see where my I don't see my, I usually have a picker, a stitch picker in here, but I don't see it. Anyhow, I'm just going to take in, since this is just paper towels, it will mostly on its own just tear right out. So there, that's just part of the tack down stitch. I can cut that off. I mean, not tack down, placement. No, placement, yes. And then here's a little more that usually I don't have to remove this because it stays in place, but it's come off. So let me remove this. And I'm going to go through and get rid of all these little threads too. But well, all right. That's a pretty good job there. Okay. Anyhow, that's a pretty good job. I'll get a little better with it later. But now take these pieces here and go to your iron. And there's always a short piece, this one, and a longer piece. Take the short piece and tuck it inside. Use these little angled areas to turn it in like that so it'll stay. And then you would iron this, and then take this other piece and do the same thing. Take it and put it in where the angled pieces go inside and kind of hold it shut. There we are, about like this. Now go and iron this, and then take it from your iron immediately to your sewing machine and sew right along through here about 1/4 of an inch to maybe just 1/8 of an inch along the bottom here, closing this up. So I'll be right back. All right, it is now completely finished, and it's just plain on the back, but I love this fabric. I don't do novelty much, but it's interesting fabric, especially for someone who does a photographer. And I love this beautiful motif that comes out of the software. Anyhow, that's the end of today's tutorial, and this is the 3 slices purse. And hopefully, if you buy the pattern, you'll make something beautiful for yourself or a family member. And I hope you'll join me in another day or two for another pattern and tutorial. And I thank you for watching with me and buying my patterns. I really certainly do. So thank you so much, and have a good, it's night now. Have a good night. Bye-bye.